Hello everyone. My name is Laquan Williams, and today in this video, I'm going to be doing my review for the most current episode of The Flash. It was season 8, episode 7. It aired a couple days ago, actually on the CW TV network. It was actually yesterday, on the 16th of March, 2022. I forgot the Flash is no longer on Tuesdays. They moved that show, The Flash, and obviously Legends of Tomorrow to Tuesday. It's to Wednesday, and now on Tuesday is Superman and Lois, which is on a week hiatus, a couple weeks of hiatus. It's actually gonna be like next week, so a week hiatus of Superman and Lois, and also Legends of Tomorrow is still in a bubble currently. Everybody, including myself, where we don't know if the show is going to be renewed for another season, which would be obviously the last one, or will it be canceled, and there will be a cliffhanger that will be left, obviously, with the rest of the series that we'll never see the obviously complete end of, and there will be no closure because it'll be ending as the Legends of Tomorrow got arrested and Booster Gold was with him. They're all going to be cellmates, and that's the end of it, the whole series. So we'll see what happens with that. I have no idea, obviously, but just like no one else does. But yes, The Flash and Superman and Lois have been renewed for another season. More than likely, that'll be the last season of The Flash, which will be its 9th and final one. More than likely, and Superman and Lois has been obviously already been renewed for a 3rd season. So The Flash is last week's episode obviously was Barry Allen's kids, Bart Allen and Nora Allen, going back from their time of 2022 in the past to 2042 to obviously see what to get back to regular lives after they helped their parents, save the world from obviously Godspeed. And obviously we saw what happened with that. Nora and Bart obviously screwed up time, and that obviously had made them have to become heroes on their own. It forced them to think, obviously, without anybody helping them. They couldn't tell anybody because it was screw up time itself, obviously. But this week's episode is different. Barry Allen and the whole entire team is back, but nobody was actually really doing anything besides Barry, if we're going to be honest with this whole episode. The premise of this episode is kind of like a hostage situation, basically, like a bank heist, but this time it's the CCPD, obviously, police station / I guess you can say headquarters, if you will. Obviously, Kramer, who is now in charge of the police over there in Central City, because Captain Joe West, who is also Barry Allen's father-in-law, because he married his daughter, Iris West Allen. Iris West, she's now Iris West Allen, because obviously her and Barry have been married now for a couple of years, and obviously they have kids in the future, which we know about, like I said, Nora and Bart. So basically, Goldface is there. He comes back. There is no Aminet Black, who was played by Katie Sackhoff. She was not in the episode, but she was mentioned a couple times as Black Goldface. Goldface was having her his phone called by her, and he was talking on the phone to her, but there was never any she was never physically here in the episode. Essentially, what happened is Goldface took over the CCPD, the headquarters, the Central City Police Department, and he held everybody hostage, threatened to kill everybody and blow them up with explosives. He put collars around their necks that had explosives attached into them, to where if anybody decided to become a hero or lie to him, he controlled the explosives, remote detonated them. He can also remote detonate them by accessing them by some button that was on his belt. And he had his gold chain, obviously, like he always has, and choked Barry with it. He had Captain Kramer. Actually, he never got Captain Kramer. Actually, he tied her up. He never choked her with his chain. Just Barry Allen, and obviously one of the police officers that was there, that he was threatening to kill if Kramer didn't come out and obviously save her and give him the what he wanted, which was the metahuman bullets that can kill metahumans, dampen their powers, obviously, as well as kill them. Goldface told Kramer, but you remember those same bullets that you tried to use against Killer Frost and you got shut down for? Yeah, I need those. I know they're here. Where are they? And Barry didn't want to give it to them, but to him, obviously. But the truth is, he threatened to kill everybody in there. So Barry had no choice. He couldn't use his powers as the Flash, obviously. And he did not use them out until the very end. He kept telling Kramer to use her powers to take Goldfish down, but she did not want to, until basically Barry told her that she needed his help. Until Barry told her that everybody needed her help, and there's nothing that she could do. He could do, obviously, besides try to get the cuffs off. So essentially, it was a wild goose chase around the whole entire Central City Police Department. Barry and obviously Captain Kramer hiding from Goldface and his right-hand man. He didn't have any other henchmen with him, just his right-hand guy that he had that helped him take hostages of all the police and officers in the department. Oh, and also I forgot to mention, nobody was able to come to the aid of Barry because he actually didn't call anybody. Everybody else was doing separate stuff. Iris West Allen, who is obviously Barry's wife, Iris, was at home with her father, and Cecile, obviously Joe West and Captain Joe West, now retired. He even mentioned in this episode he's retired. More than likely he'll be back. I still don't like Captain Kramer. They're gonna keep the character on the show until they decided. I guess eventually. Well, actually, no. Excuse me. She'll probably end up leaving herself. I don't know, but it's probably not gonna happen. I just didn't like her because she tried to throw Killer Frost in jail and take her powers away from her. And now all of a sudden she's forgiven because she's a metahuman herself. It actually really didn't make any sense, obviously, to me. But I didn't like it because she was like the rogue police captain. Now she's like, oh, I want to be friends with the Flash and stuff and whatnot. And yes, in the end of the episode, she found out, she already knew that Barry Allen was the Flash, even though he was about to reveal his secret identity to her because she wanted training from the Flash to help her with her powers. Obviously, I really don't care about that. It's irrelevant. If she was not willing to use her powers to help her fellow police officers as the police captain without Barry literally twisting her arm and forcing her, forcing her, but literally twisting her arm and kind of like begging her to please do something because nobody else can help us. So I think, as I said, I found it very weird. Barry didn't hit the distress beacon to anybody on Team Flash to help him obviously jump in and take down Goldface. There would have been some way for them to get in there, to sneak their way in there some type of way, obviously, but that actually didn't happen at all. So Barry Allen, obviously, and Captain Kramer, and the rest of the police officers in the Central City Police Department were sitting ducks. There was nowhere for them to go. Should have been some way for Barry Allen to call the team to help get Allegra or Killer Frost in there somehow, and also Chillbane, because literally everybody was in this episode. Everybody was here, obviously, except Cisco and Harrison Wells, because they're no longer on the show. They'll be back as reoccurring characters, obviously, always for collaborations and pop-ups every now and then. Obviously, throughout the rest of this season and the last one, which will be season 9, they'll probably be here for the last 3-4 episodes of this season. Obviously, we'll still have to wait and see. I don't know, but it was okay. Like I said, the episode was cool, but I just kind of found that weird. Like, oh, okay, now Barry's gonna have to take down Goldface with Kramer, but he can't reveal himself to her as the Flash, but she already knows he's the Flash. I thought that was really weird, and Barry Allen obviously giving her his secret identity, but she already obviously knew it was him because that's what she said. I didn't like that either. Like I said, I still don't trust Captain Kramer. We'll see what happens. Obviously, at the end of the episode, we had another tease as far as Iris West obviously disappearing into another universe. It looks like she has dark matter powers because we don't remember obviously what happened previously in a couple episodes ago. She got disappeared and obviously kind of sent to the Phantom Zone or the Shadow Realm with her being affected by dark matter, and Dion having to be able to keep her in a line with time so her body doesn't fall or fade through time itself, so she doesn't disappear and go to another universe or timeline where they can't find her. So it looks like Iris West Allen has some type of dark matter powers that she's going to be able to use, or the effects are getting to her. Something's going to happen. I have no idea. We'll have to wait and see. But that was another tease, just like last week's episode where this green energy and like black beads were like the dark matter made her hairbrush erase off the table that it was on at the dinner table. Then she had a sudden case of not deja vu, but memory loss. She's talked to Joe West, her father, as he was sitting down. Then when she got up to walk to the stairs, he actually came down the stairs. It's just like it seemed as if he never left the room. He was upstairs the whole time. It was like a mind, obviously, numbing type of situation. We're like, okay, Iris just saw her dad sit down. Now he's upstairs, and she's like, "What's going on? What happened?" No, he said, I went to the garage to get some of your pictures because you wanted to look at them. Something about an old case or something like that. So we'll see what happens with that. Obviously, it looks like Iris West is still affected by the dark matter that she's been dealing with for the past season. I guess they're gonna have Dion come back as the time god himself to help her, keep her intact, and use his powers to keep her from slipping through time and her literally whole entire existence and body physically disappearing. If she has dark matter powers, it looks like that's possible. She could be using them to help the team. I have no idea. We'll see what happens. Goldface is a very funny villain and bad guy. He jokes around all the time, so he's not really annoying. I don't have a problem with him in comparison to the other ones, like the Royal Flush or whatnot. Even Aminette Black is funny. Katie Sackhoff's a very great actress, and she wasn't on the show with him in this episode, but more than likely the next time he's there, they'll both be there. Because obviously they teased it. He was supposed to be talking to her on the phone, Aminette Black, but she's just, like I said, she just was not there physically in this episode. That's basically it. And finally, Chillbane popped up, and we actually got to see him instead of him being heard him and Killer Foster doing karaoke, and they had some date night, double date with Caitlin Snow and her date, and that was not relevant. Like I said, everybody was actually out doing their own separate stuff. Barry, while they were having fun, Barry was the only one in distress and did not call anybody. I was like, well, he's the Flash. If he can use his powers, why didn't he contact everybody? And if you watch this episode, you'll notice that Chester, who obviously has replaced Cisco, obviously as their new tech guy, he was there sitting at the desk the whole entire time saying, okay, there's nothing going on right now. Let me look at the satellites to check for crimes and all that, and the police radio frequencies. He did obviously tell Barry about some crimes that he stopped, obviously, but after he did his little live stream, I guess you could say, to talk to his fans / podcast, he talked to Caitlin and Allegra, but there was never any situation where Barry told the team that he needed them to get inside and to help him. So he never called the team at all to help him and Captain Kramer in the Central City Police Department, obviously. So I actually thought that was very weird. What's the point of everybody having a distress beacon, obviously, with them if they're not going to use it? And even though Barry Allen's the hero, he still obviously should be able to use it to contact his team, but he never did that at all. So I thought that was very weird that he actually didn't do that. So I was like, okay, so Barry, you're just going to do this yourself and wing it, and hopefully Goldface doesn't kill you or any of the police inside of the Central City Police Department, along with obviously Captain Kramer. So I thought that was weird. And now Captain Kramer is going to be trained by the Flash, aka Barry Allen. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, I'm not sure. And that's just basically it. That's the end of my video. And we'll see what happens, obviously, throughout the rest of the season, obviously, and going into the next, which will be the final one, obviously, of season 9 for the Flash. And obviously, I'm hoping to see what's going to happen in talks in regards to the renewal of season 8 for the Legends of Tomorrow, and see if there are any talks going on with that. And we'll see what happens, obviously. I've seen my video. Thanks again for watching. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section if you have not been watching The Flash for a while. Obviously, if you stop, because like I always say, people get burned out by these superhero shows and they get really annoyed. And obviously frustrated. Stop watching them. I understand that. I've been doing that for the past couple of years with Legends of Tomorrow. Still not enjoying the show, but I still have to review it, obviously, because I'm obviously still a huge fan. I've been watching the show since the first episode, along with Black Lightning and a couple other, and Superman and Lois. I started watching The Flash when its first season actually was over. I was watching it on TV, and also with Green Arrow, I started watching that when the second season was over. Third season, went back on Netflix and binge watched the first 2 seasons to get caught up with it. And I obviously did the same thing with Flash. The first episode of The Flash I watched on TV was when the Reverse Flash, aka Harrison Wells, finally revealed himself to Barry Allen, Cisco, and Caitlin, and to tell the whole team that he's actually the Reverse Flash. That's actually the first episode I saw on TV obviously several years ago, during the end of the first season, I believe, going into the second. So that's basically it. So that's the end of my video and my review for The Flash. It was cool. Like I said, this episode was kind of a little funny, good cop, bad cop situation with Barry Allen, obviously, and Captain Kramer. But last week's episode with Barry Allen's kids going through time, the past and the future, obviously, going back to their current time in 2042, and obviously leaving 2022 to go back to their time, obviously, essentially, and save the day, was actually much more fun and entertaining. This was kind of a okay type of episode. Like I said, it was kind of weird because I'm just looking at it like, wait a second, so Barry, you're not going to call for help for anybody on your team? Like, there's got to be some type of way. All the technology, the minds of Caitlin Snow and Chester P cannot get into that place without Goldface noticing. Also, Allegra has superpowers, and Killer Frost and Chillbane. They literally could have blitzed the whole place and took out Goldface and his henchman. His right hand man. He had no henchmen with him. It was just him and one guy. But everybody in that place had explosives wrapped around their necks. So basically, he didn't need more than one person. But still, that was kind of weird that, Barry was the only one that could get everybody out of there, obviously, because Captain Kramer could not, because she's not a speedster. Although it's possible she could have used some of Barry's powers as her own, to mimic as she did with Goldface through her raw emotion, where she's highly stressed out. That's what heightens and gives her the ability to mimic other people's powers, obviously, kind of like not Rogue from X-Men. I forgot her name. Mystique, basically. Well, Mystique's basically a shapeshifter. She doesn't use people's powers, but I think Morph. Yeah, Morph. He's the one. Well, he's a shapeshifter as well. I'm trying to remember, because they can morph into people, but and shapeshift to people. They can't use other people's powers, but similar to I guess you could say a little bit into some other characters. Obviously, I guess Taskmaster copies people, but he can't really copy their powers. But you kind of get what I'm saying in the general realm of similar superheroes, obviously, and or villains in Marvel. also in DC as well, because the Flash is a DC character, comic books character as well. So that's basically it for my video and review for the Flash's season 8, episode 7 that just happened recently. It's called Lockdown, and it happened on the 16th of March 2022, just a day ago. And that's basically it. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. I actually want to see what some people wrote on here before I go, just to see what people have been talking about. I haven't done that really recently, but let's see. Somebody says, I stopped watching after the third speedster bad guy. I'm trying to remember who that was. He says, I stopped watching Supergirl as well. This is why I stopped watching. Tired of long storylines. I would start watching again if standalone episodes started again. Okay. I agree with these kind of standalones are fun. Of course, sometimes I suspect the show doesn't actually know how to really do separate storylines. That might be the big Caitlyn problem, because I did have a thought at the same point during her storyline that there is a part of her that is envious that she no longer has superpowers, and she should occasionally experience the dissonance. She's actually the extra part if I follow the whole story, with her father, who's a bad guy. A few seasons ago, but I'm not sure the show wants us to remember that part, because it might mean either losing Caitlyn or she takes a heel turn at some point, becomes a bad guy, especially because she might just be parts. There just maybe parts of her parents, that her mother and her intelligence of her father. Oh yeah, her parents' relationship's not been great, obviously. Yeah, shows should never forget a standalone. This person forgot to put the A, and yeah, Mr. Tony Davidson. I don't know. I didn't know the show was so long. They lost me halfway through the 4th season. I should have jumped ship sooner. I wonder what the viewership was like these days, except for Superman and Lois. I haven't watched this show since it came back. I've given up on the DC CW love affair shows. I 100% blame the CW for turning my favorite superheroes into drama queens. I hope others are enjoying it. I'm just going to patiently wait for the reboot some 10 to 15 years after this goes off the air, which is not going to happen. Season 7 had an average of 1.6 million viewers versus a 4.6 million average for season 1. Average viewership of The Flash has never increased between seasons. This person says in response to that, numbers do not lie. Though 1.6 is a lot of people, but it may not be enough to sustain programming. If I could get that many people to send me $1 each, that's funny. Last comment. This person says, I got bored with The Flash around the season 6. Okay. 1.6 obviously is a big drop off from 4.6. That's 3 million viewers dropped off, but yes, it's still doing better than other shows that are rated on the network, obviously, that are not doing very well, such as Batwoman and I think Naomi as well. I don't know how that new Powderpuff Girl show is going to be on live action CW. The TV network, the CW TV network, because Chloe Bennett, who played Sky, aka Earthquake, aka Quake on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., dropped off the show. So I have not heard if they actually replaced anybody to replace her. Don't care about the show, but I love Chloe Bennett. I watched the last 3 seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She's awesome, great character, great actress, but we'll see what happens with that. The Ghost Rider storyline was fun on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well. I'm still waiting on to see if we're actually going to get a Ghost Rider show on Hulu someday, but it's looking like that might happen. Maybe HBO Max, possibly, but I would not mind if there was a Netflix show for Ghost Rider where Gabriel Luna plays him again, and it's obviously TVMA, aka, or basically rated 18 to 24, so it's more grittier, and obviously we can actually see some blood, hopefully, but that's the end of my video review and my talks about comic books, obviously Legends of Tomorrow, DC superheroes, and Green Arrow. Also, The Flash, and this is, like I said, my review for The Flash's season 8, episode 7, the most current episode that aired just yesterday on the 16th of February 2022. The episode is called Lockdown. Thank you again for watching my video, and let me know again what you have to think in the comments section down below. Thanks again. Bye. Thank you.